Hey Juventini, welcome to the All Juve Cast channel and welcome to episode 1 of Buonanotte Bianconeri. Buonanotte because it's myself winding down my evening and wrapping up my day, and I'm just going to recap the news. I'm going to give some of my views and opinions and takes, but I'm also going to use this show as an extension to the podcast. So I mentioned on the latest podcast, which is out now, episode 124, which was great, that I can't always get all the great questions in that the Juventini send in. So this was going to be an extension. I would take on more questions. I would share more opinions and views from you, Juventini. I'll have written pieces. We'll tackle all the news that comes in from the day. And we might even get to some of the earlier stuff, as there are some time differences. So like I said, Buonanotte Bianconeri for me, but it could be a Buona Mattina Bianconeri, depending on where you are. But we're going to kick it off with a Juventino who wanted to send in his thoughts and his take on our most recent match in the Champions League, which was the clinical performance against Dynamo Kiev. And it's his thoughts on it, and it comes from Eddie on Twitter, who's at EddieNG12. So he writes in, the performance this past week in the Champions League is what we Juventus fans are expecting from our team week in and week out. I get it. It was against a team we should beat handily in Dynamo Kiev. But let's not forget what putrid display we had against the Hungarian side Ferencváros just last week. It was nice to see some beautiful moments of football and winning comfortably as expected. The next paragraph, Chiesa, man of the match. First and foremost, I want to show my appreciation for Federico Chiesa in this match. Even though the first few moments of the game weren't the best for him, in which the Kiev defender got the better of him, however, he was my man of the match. Not only because he finally got his first goal in the black and white stripes with a beautiful header, in parentheses, how did he generate that much power when the ball was slightly behind him? But he was relentless in coming back and defending as a quasi right mid wing back beside Demiral. His youthful exuberance and quickness generated a number of chances, one of which led to the CR7 tap and insurance goal. He seems to be flying up and down the wing, attacking and then back in solid defensive positions at all time. He was everywhere in a good way. No question, the best performance I've seen Chiesa played this season. Absolutely. Cash, my guest on the latest podcast, and I, we both had Chiesa as man of the match. I think it was almost unanimous amongst Juventini that Chiesa was in there. We gave a solid shout out to Weston McKennie as well. He continues on. Chemistry between CR7 and Morata. Once again, the chemistry between our two main forwards was remarkable. The little hold-up plays that Morata does open space for Ronaldo, and when you give CR7 any time, that could only lead to good things. The little passes that Morata and Ronaldo complete with each other makes me think that sooner rather than later, they will score a highlight reel goal very shortly. Their styles complement each other perfectly. On the other hand, just being a little nitpicky here, there was this one time early in the second half where Morata could have fed Ronaldo a through ball a bit quicker. That would have led to a glorious scoring chance and most likely would have been put home by CR7. Again, being very picky. But all in all, though, another great match by our two offensive leaders. I don't foresee how in the short term you could start Dybala in any meaningful game as a forward when both Ronaldo and Morata are available. Alexandro. It was very nice to see some decent crosses from our wingbacks. As mentioned, Chiesa was generating a lot of positive play from his side, but what should not go unnoticed was also Alexandro's offensive prowess in this game. He got the ball into his old defensive self. Alexandro circa 2018-19 in this game. That little play where he skipped past the defender and let the ball for Ronaldo was a beautiful sight to see. If only CR7 had put that home. It will be interesting to see Pirlo starting 11 with him. Danilo and Cuadrado all available and ready to own the flank. For me, I prefer Alexandro's more textbook way of defending versus Cuadrado's high-risk slide-ins, and we don't lose much on the offensive side. So I would hope to see Danilo on the right and Alexandro on the left. Remaining thoughts. Pirlo has taken advantage of the new 5 substitution rule, and I, for one, love it. Our team possesses a decent amount of depth, so it's great to see most players getting minutes. This could only benefit the team in the long run as we make our way through the heart of the season and towards the knockout stage of the Champions League. I didn't see much from Bentancur, Ramsey, nor Bernardeschi in this match, with the first two not being able to impress when starting. My ideal lineup would probably include Rabiot in the midfield. Of Kulusevski, or dare I say it, Dybala, starting in the 10 role. Just a thought. Overall, solid performance from the Bianconeri, and hopefully we can keep the momentum going in the Derby della Mola this weekend. Fino alla fine. Great written piece, great recap. Eddie, thank you very much for sharing that. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what he had to say there. Yeah, we do have to remember we are a work in progress. I think the chemistry between Morata and CR7 definitely is there. We know Dybala he's the one everyone's talking about. And I've got his kid up behind me here because I got to get the guy some love. I want to just try and bring some good positive energy because we need him. We are going to need him. So we know Morata's facing too much ban. It starts with the Derby della Mola that Eddie touched on here, and that match is taking place tomorrow. And yeah, we are going to recap or preview that match as well, but we'll take on a couple more things because, Dybala comes into a lot of people's questions. So Steve, who I didn't get a chance to take his question on the podcast, he wrote in, do you think the energy McKennie brings to the midfield is a must for the pressing game we try to play? Follow-up question, how do you get Dybala in the lineup? So first of all, McKennie and his energy is just fantastic. And I said I need him in that midfield. But not only do I need him in the midfield, I need 3 men across the middle. I'm not sold on the 10 role when it happens in there. So the tough thing that's what's happening now is that it is almost like Pirlo's adjusting to a 4-back system more, which definitely doesn't allow a 3-man midfield unless you go 4-3-3, which he's not really doing. He's really keeping that straight line across the middle. The preview already for tomorrow looks like it's going to be a 4-4-2, and usually what happens is there's a bit of a shift where one of those outside mids can kind of come inside slightly centrally, and that other wing back on whichever side we choose to use dominantly in attacking will shift forward, and then one of the fullbacks will slide back and become that third defender. It looks like it's going to end up being Danilo if the lineup projection is correct. That will form 3 at the back, Bernardeschi, Quadrado ending up as those outside wings with Kulusevski pushing up if the lineup's correct. But we will get to the lineup. So, yeah, I like what McKennie brings to the lineup. The only time I saw him really not look good was when we had him on the outside mid position, which just wasn't right. But I really, really like what McKennie brings. Talked about it. Bentancur right now is the one for me that needs to find his way. Arthur as well. Arthur really has put one really solid performance together for me, but the rest, he's left me wanting more. So, yeah, McKennie's huge. McKennie covers so much ground. I prefer him staying centrally as opposed to when we were pushing him up for a couple games there consecutively. I didn't like that. I need him in the heart of the middle there, just chewing up that space and making it hard for those counters to come at us and giving our guys time to get back and support. How do you get Dybala in? Honestly, Dybala's got to get Dybala in, okay? Right now, it's going to be really hard because of how crucial the 9 role is and how Morata plays it, that he stay in there. So if Dybala is going to be coming in and Morata is going to be the one coming out, it's up to Dybala. Dybala has to be able to prove that he can play with just himself and Ronaldo in the system up top. So far, he hasn't been able to do that. Dybala with Morata, there will work, but you're not going to be sitting CR7. That's life. That's the way it is. So it's really up to Dybala. He's just got to pick it up and he's got to get it going. Yeah, now moving on. We had Alcar7 just writing in. He just wanted to, he can't believe it. He's just saying, I'm telling you, something happened to Bernardeschi over the international break. And it's true. The guys looked great. Even, a lot of people didn't see much in the last match. Obviously, he came in as a substitute. But honestly, he had a couple little flare possessions there that just looked awesome. And it was just like, wow, he's got a little bit. You just got to keep on that and keep going. But I think if Pirlo can continue with what he's doing once he finds these guys in these moments and keeps them to those positions, we should be okay. So fingers crossed for Bernardeschi. Moving on with some news out of today and whatnot, Dragusin. This kid, the center back that everybody's pretty jacked on, okay? Dragusin already talks of Juve wanting to extend his contract and just lock him up. Promising young talent, which is great that we can do that. But he comes out with a little statement from his agent, I guess, that Van Dijk is his idol. Dude, what the fuck? De Ligt is way better than Van Dijk, and you're playing with him right now. You can't be playing with somebody that's your idol. Well, I mean, we got some older guys that are, well, one for sure that's better than Van Dijk could ever hope to be. And he's also on your team. Also, just watch some old school Serie A, man. Like, you got a lot to learn, buddy. Let's show him some tapes there. Guys, come on. Dragusin, pick it up. You probably should be embarrassed after that one, especially with the guys he's got in the locker room. Maybe slap your agent around there. Figure that out. But, of course, the big news, obviously, Paratici. Paratici and the lawyers of Juve being investigated. And this goes back to the Suarez transfer and the passport exams and everything. So, yeah, big uproar. Of course, what did this do? Get the Chihuahuas going. Yip. Yeah, relegate Juve, all this, blah, blah, blah. Listen, that's the only hope you little bastards have of getting to the top is Juve getting out for something like this. First of all, should we put ourselves in a position of that ever happening, something too extreme as relegation? I would be extremely pissed off. But I don't think this is going to be the case. I'm going to give you all a good breakdown just so that you can kind of understand where it's at. It's still very, very early to tell what's going to happen, but this is kind of the breakdown. So first of all, it's Paratici and two Juventus lawyers. They're not under investigation for corruption, okay? It's just for providing false information. And this is actually good. It's good because if it was corruption, the risk would be far more at sporting level and criminal level, okay? So that's good. Basically, just to remind everybody, 2 weeks before the exam, Juventus communicated to Suarez and to the press that they were no longer interested in signing him, okay? And basically, after inquiring, they realized that there was no technical time to obtain the citizenship, okay? So they expressed that. Now, the investigation itself is not a conviction, okay? So basically, it's not even an indictment. And Juventus, basically, what are they risking? So if corruption is somehow proven, which is basically having promised something in exchange for the promotion of Suarez, so basically if they were influencing or promising something to get that exam to pass for Suarez, they could be punished even for the intentional loan with a penalty ranging from fine to relegation, okay? But again, relegation is highly, highly unlikely in this scenario, okay? So basically, between the two extremes, be penalty points. If instead corruption is not proven, everything should be resolved with just a fine, okay? Basically, trying to calculate anything at this point is going to be next to impossible. We're just going to have to wait for how these go. And basically, there's a good breakdown by Guido Vatsago on what's happening. Yeah, the nice thing is that, again, it's just for false information and not under investigation for corruption. So, yeah. Still too early to tell. Relegation that all these little chihuahuas are open for, highly unlikely. Now, moving on to obviously the Derby della Mola. Big match tomorrow, okay? And it's going to be a cold one. They've had snow in Torino, but apparently they're not going to be getting the snow. But it's going to be 2 degrees Celsius, so it's going to be a cold one. Yeah, predicted lineup. Predicted lineup's going to see Tech in goal. De Ligt and Bonucci, because again, Demiral got injured again. Maybe he really took it to heart that he was going to be replacing Chiellini and needs to pump the brakes on how much he's replacing him when it comes to the injuries. But we got De Ligt, we got Bonucci, Danilo on the left. Looks like it's going to be Cuadrado on the right. And then again, looks like it's going to shape up as a 4-4-2 and then obviously turn into a hybrid offensively. But Bernardeschi tipped to be on the left, Kulusevski on the right. In the middle, it's supposed to be Rabiot and Artur with Dybala and Ronaldo up top. Obviously, Morata beginning his 2-match ban from that red card. This is a big one. It's the Derby della Mole. We got to keep the wheels rolling here. And we've dropped a lot of points just in draws. We're not suffering defeats, but they feel like defeats because they're matches we should be winning. Tomorrow, Derby della Mole, I think Pirlo's on to something. Like I said, this little hybrid system he's got going is really just dependent on the personnel he's got, but it looks like he's starting to find his way and he's starting to figure out who needs to be where. The big one here is this guy over my shoulder, Dybala. Dybala's got to put in a solid performance tomorrow because we're gonna need it. Because Morata is so key when he's in there. Dybala's got to get there. So another key is going to be Kulusevski. Kulusevski is going to have to impose his will. He's going to have to do more. He's going to have to be that link. He's going to have to essentially force Dybala to stay up the damn pitch. So it's going to be interesting. But I expect a victory. I expect a scrappy one. It always is. I think Juve is going to pull it out. I think it's going to be 2-1. And that's where I'm going to leave you all tonight. I'm going to go home and relax and wake up early. We got La Panchina going tomorrow, so there's going to be a watch party for the Derby della Mola. And then you guys can reap the rewards of watching the highlights of watching us go through our crazy emotions while watching Juve. But to all of you, hope you enjoy these videos. Send the questions in, send the written compositions. I love it all. Let's keep the discussions rolling right through to the next podcast. I got a great guest joining me for the post Derby della Mola podcast. Make sure you stay tuned to those. And sooner or later, we'll start doing these Buonanotte Bianconeris live as well to get your input right there on the spot. As always, Juventini, Forza Juve, fino alla fine. Get ready for the Derby tomorrow. Buonanotte.